Alright. Just got done watching A Quiet Place Day 1. And you know what? After COVID-19, I can safely say that some of the dumb decisions that people make is very believable now. A Quiet Place Day 1, the prequel that none of us really saw coming, but we're very much excited to see. This prequel is not helmed by John Krasinski, but rather a different batch of people, but by the same studio. It stars Lupita Nyong'o from Us and Joseph Quinn from Stranger Things, or in that one really short clip from Game of Thrones.
Best fuck off.
Following the success of the previous two films, this movie has been marketed as sort of like a expansion, going to be a little different and give us a little bit more insight how it ended up where it did with John Krasinski's family. You know, we're gonna hopefully see how it all started, what the fuck caused the whole world to go into a shit show. We're gonna hopefully get an idea of what the fuck these aliens are and how are they surviving, how they basically destroyed this world in this time span from this prequel to the sequels. And very much like the opening of A Quiet Place Part 2, this movie also starts off with the aliens, coming down from the sky, and that's when the movie really starts. Lupita is the main character here with the cat, and her character is really interesting and took a whole turn that I was not expecting. Joseph Quinn shows up somewhere near the beginning of the second act, and that's really when this journey starts. He's literally a fish out of water here. He's an Englishman who came to New York for law school, and really he has nobody. He knows nothing, so he sticks with Lupita's character. And as they travel together, they try their best to be as quiet as possible and, make sure that cat stays alive. First off, the production here is absolutely top notch. It is fucking gorgeous and sexy, and the audio, the sound design, this is my goodness, thank fucking goodness that people still have respect in the theaters, because everyone was silent here. Besides for a couple of people just eating their popcorns, which is okay, everyone was silent and really just immersed into this film. This movie does a great job making New York feel alive and really just give a great representation of what New York is, the sound and how loud it is. From the city that never sleeps to then the city that does sleep, like in that one video we saw during COVID lockdown. Lupita and Joseph Quinn, my god. Amazing performances. They are so fucking perfect. They give such believable and powerful performances that I think anyone will fall in love with. The human element in here is not forgotten, and they really stick to the themes of the previous two films by making sure that the human element here is just as important as the monster alien invading Earth thing. Although maybe to a fault. We get to see way the fuck more Death Angels here, and my goodness, they look fucking awesome. I love a good creature design here, and with these aliens, whenever they're opening their face to listen or eat something, phew, we get to see hundreds of them racing through New York and just killing people, slaughtering everything in their path, and following whatever sound there is that anyone makes. Again, the production here is absolutely top notch, and if you love the previous two films, you're gonna love this one. I think where this film is definitely gonna divide people is the story direction. This movie is being marketed as the film to sort of give us some more depth in the world and show us how it all started. Whoa, look, there's a guy from part 2. Let's hope we get a little bit more depth with his character and how he got to where that island was. Holy shit, there are shots of the aliens all over the fucking city and going around killing people and killing everything, destroying everyone. We are totally gonna get some alien invasion thing where we see it from day one, how it all started, and we're gonna follow these two amazing actors as they try to survive, just like in Cloverfield. Unfortunately, no, that's not what this movie is. I went into this movie with certain expectations. I wanted to see more of the aliens and how they managed to take over the world. I wanted to see the invasion. I wanted to see how people tried to survive during this time. I wanted to see how the government responded to these creatures. And we didn't get that. Instead, this movie focuses on the human themes that have been presented in the previous two films and just really sticks to it here, which to me is the wrong direction to take when we've already seen that twice. Do something different. Give us a different story while still maintaining the human element and the human themes that have been presented, but not too much, because this is day one. This should be a movie about the invasion. This should be a movie about how the world responded and how did anybody try at least sort of survive from the start. This movie takes place in New York. Give us some spectacle of this invasion in New York. Show us what's going on. But we don't really get any of that. It's sort of like how in The Last of Us, you know, we get day one, and then all of a sudden it just jumps 20 years later. That kind of happens in one day. It's a total cop-out bullshit way to just sort of say, yeah, well, we don't know how to explain or show how the world went to shit, so we're just gonna make it happen all within one night, and now the whole world's fucked. That's right. No government, no nothing. Now, of course, the government is still active in this film, but they're not really much of a present character, I guess you could say. We see a little bit of the military and they're trying to do stuff, but they're really only in it for like a couple seconds, and then we just follow Joseph and Lupita for the rest of the movie. I don't want to sound like I didn't like the human theme that they were presenting here with Lupita and Joseph's character. I really love them, and I really love the story that they both go through and where they're going and what their mission is, their overall goal. I just felt that that's not what this movie should have been. I wish I could go into more detail about it, but I really can't because it would spoil really a whole lot for you guys. Some reviewers out there are saying how they're glad that it didn't become this whole like alien invasion fest like Cloverfield or whatever, you know, that it stuck to its roots and stay true to what the previous two films about the human element, about, you know, the human themes, about people, and, you know, the human struggle while in this crazy alien invasion world. And while I respect that opinion, this movie needed to be different. I'm sorry, I love the human theme here they got going on and the characters. This movie really needed to expand upon its world and expand upon everything that it's had going on and show us, make us as audiences believe how the world will fall apart from these aliens that can only hear and not see. Explain to us why these guys, or at least show us, you know, how the hell do certain people survive, show me an alien invasion, and fill in the gaps that were left in the previous two films. Check out this video by a Thrifty Typewriter. He does a great analysis as to how the aliens in this world don't really work. And no, it's not some hate video about how he doesn't like the A Quiet Place movies. He loves them as movies, as do I. It's just when you think about them for a second and how these aliens function and if the world would really kind of die out like it does as presented in the movies, it's hard to believe. That's what I'm saying when I went into this movie expecting it to answer certain issues that I had with the previous two films. One thing of note that definitely irked me in the third act of the film, it's very obvious that these two main characters of ours have some insane plot armor. Joseph Quinn is walking around with like fucking dress shoes. Does anybody know how loud dress shoes are? Of course he eventually switches them out to like Nikes or whatever, but come on, man! Somehow one of these characters manages to outrun like a whole horde of them. Okay, I know I seem very negative about this movie, and that's because of my own expectations and a lot of things that I wanted in this movie. I want to make it very clear that I did for the most part enjoy it. There is so much to love here that is presented in this movie. The characters and the performances are absolutely beautiful. The story and emotional arc with Lupita's character is absolutely touching. It is so just fucking right in the feels, you know? These characters are absolutely believable, and the story of why they go this direction is just so lovable. There is one scene that we get to see a little bit that expands upon these creatures, and you know, where they're like, I guess I would assume this spot is where like the meteorite crash or where the aliens crash, and we get to see like some weird stuff growing that the death angels are eating. But that's kind of the only thing we really get that kind of expands upon these aliens and these creatures and how they're adapting to this world. Would I watch this movie again? Absolutely. I think there's so much to love here, especially with Lupita and Joseph. The production here is absolutely stunning with New York, just seeing how the destruction of this world fell apart and how it goes silent. My goodness, it was fucking intense. I think y'all out there should be checking this movie out. Even after all the negatives I've shared, you might come out feeling or thinking somewhat differently. And yes, I'm very much aware that my own expectations may have caused me to be disappointed in something that was entirely never or ever meant to be what I thought it was gonna be. Maybe I misinterpreted the trailers, or maybe I just misinterpreted everything and what this movie should have been. But after two movies with the same theme, I would at least hope and expect to see something a little different in order to keep audiences invested and interested in this world about these death angels that kill us by sound. Alright, I hope I didn't drag this out for too long. Y'all take care of yourselves in this goddamn motherfucking heat. and have a good night, and have a good day, or whatever, wherever you're from. My goodness, this cat must be the most chill cat ever, because you don't ever hear a peep out of this thing. I mean, gosh.